want to give you 10 reasons why you should never give up on yourself. From starting my LLC when I was just 17 as a clothing line to now running a full creative agency, I've seen the highest of highs and just the lowest of lows. Get ready to take some notes because you are about to get some lessons that took me over a decade to learn. Let's get into the 10 most important lessons that I have learned over my personal career as a creative entrepreneur. All right, let's rewind to 2009. I'm just a 17-year-old kid messing around trying to learn graffiti and messing around with Photoshop. My best friend at the time, Ray Slice, aka Sleazy Bundles, came to me with the idea of starting a clothing line. And we wanted that clothing line to exemplify who we felt we were at that age. And the first thing that came to us was nerds with swag. And that brings us to lesson 1. Do your damn research. Not long after we launched this site, we're getting a couple sales. We started to make some buzz. We get slapped with a cease and desist letter from a blog out in California that had the same name. But we didn't let that stop us. Instead, we wanted to come up with another name that was original and just still was true to us. And what we came up with was unique and uncontemporary. Being unique was all about being your own person without falling into the trends and fads of society. And uncontemporary was a word that we made up, really, because I wanted the acronym to be you and you. But uncontemporary really meant that there's nothing truly modern. We're all taking things that the leaders and innovators did before us and just revamping it to what we have going on today. And that's who we felt we truly were, and the people that we even looked up to in the streetwear game, in the art world, and we wanted to exemplify that in the clothing that we created. Quickly, we saw that that clothing line that we made to explain who we were was more of a lifestyle brand that could show people who they could be. And that meant a lot to us in the DMV back in those times because we were definitely big in the crabs in the barrel mentality where people were scared to even share what creative thing they were into because they would get ridiculed or judged by other people. And it's dope to see that our area has changed so much since like that was like the main energy going around. Like, and I love seeing that. I'm getting off on a tangent. Let me get back to these lessons. So yeah, that brings us back to lesson number 2. Use what you have. Utilize your resources for what you have today, right? When I was 17, we were broke. We didn't have money to pay for a photographer to get a website made. So it was a lot of things that we just had to end up building the skills to do because we didn't have the money. We had more time than we had money, so that's what we used. But in all that, I discovered that I had a natural talent with photography and just a love for the camera. And that kind of slowly became my focus as we were building out the clothing line thing. I actually made my first coffee table photo book. Let me go grab it real quick. So this is the first book that I put up around that time. It was called From Cans to Cameras. I wanted to put on wax my transition from going from a like this graffiti artist and having this like natural discovery of photography. And these were like a lot of the pictures of me transitioning from like doing something that was a hobby of me just learning how to do it into me becoming a professional and learning how I wanted to like do my craft. Like, so when it comes to, yeah, like utilizing your resources, I really feel like this is just a testament to that chapter of my creative journey and something that I'm really proud to have. Now, lesson number 3. Pick one thing and stick with it, especially when you are starting out. Trust me, if you try to be everything for everyone, you will get nowhere. And I can speak from direct experience because I literally had a business card that says, what you need, we got you. Like, I thought this was my main selling point, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Lesson number 4, stay open to new opportunities, but be ready to show out. College was a wild ride. I went down to North Carolina A&T to study industrial engineering. And my college life ain't had nothing to do with that engineering. I connected with a party promotion group that liked my photography and got me into shooting models and shooting nightclubs in the beginning. It was wild because like I was just getting paid to party. And that even escalated to where we had a creative agency that we had in downtown Greensboro, right on the main strip, where we helped a lot of different small businesses and creatives with a lot of different creative production, their website, business cards, photo shoots, and we even built a recording studio in there as well. Which brings us to lesson 5. Know when to trust your gut and when to bounce. The owner of that downtown space turned out to be shady as hell. There was always something that kind of gave us an iffy feeling, like he let us kind of build that space like it was a front. And we kind of got a confirmation one day when I think we saw some emails where he was taking payments for super easy jobs, like just printing business cards, and he just wasn't putting in the orders. And we kind of just saw the writing on the wall that, like, hey, if we stick around, we're gonna get tied up into all of this. And lo and behold, it got real bad. So that's one of those things where, like, I'm really really glad that I just trust in my gut and know that, yes, even though this is a really good thing that we have and we are benefiting from it, something just don't feel right, and it's that time. That's about the time where, like, I was graduating school, and when I came back, I was ready to use all the things that I had learned and experimented with and put it back into the clothing line, which I had still kind of been running, but I'm not gonna lie, it was more on the back burner while I was in school. So I was ready to kind of relaunch it with all the new knowledge and all these new experiences and new connections for vendors. And I did that. I had the best blanks. I had the dopest designs with all the different colorways. I had the custom inside tags. We had custom bags, a new website, and little to no sales. Which brings us to lesson 6, back to basics. Around this time is when introduced me to my good friend Capo, who I met at my 21st birthday party. And Capo and I were both creative entrepreneurs who were in a place where we were looking for that person who was going to be like that iron sharpens iron. And we were just kind of expressing ideas on what we were working with on our own brands. And I was expressing to him my frustration on the bag of, like, these boxes of clothes that are just sitting in my house that I haven't sold. And he gave me some really, really good feedback that I'll never forget. And it was that
You never had a moment in time where you just let people get used to the brand.
And by that, we mean when it comes to a clothing line, the shirt I got on right now, just basic designs with the logo that allow people to get used to what your brand is and what it's about. And building a world around that where people can get used to seeing and interacting with it. And we call that designing with depth when it comes to not just designing just the clothing of a thing, but designing a lot of different elements around it where you start noticing things that are associated with that brand without even really noticing it. So with my next collection, I did just that. I started with the concept, which was gain and maintain. It was tied to what we were already about, and it was about always working and striving to better yourself and gain in the knowledge and success that you are building for yourself. But make sure that you're doing the work on yourself to maintain that level that you have worked to. And the shirts were just clean cut black shirts, white text with just the gain and maintain on it logo, super super simple and clean. I probably spent 1/3 of the time and effort on the actual designing of the clothes than I did on the last one. But then I spent like 5 times as much on the rollout. I actually had the concept. We had all of these little different Easter eggs from when you order the things that came with it. I did multiple photo shoots with different kinds of influencers, with models, with my boy Brian Blackass, to really show how the mentality of the collection connected with different kinds of lifestyles. And it worked. It completely sold out. It really showed me exactly how I could take that clothing line to the next level. And it also showed me that fashion wasn't my passion. That's when lesson 7 came in. Know when it's time to pivot, and don't judge yourself for it. I realized I had more fun conducting the rollout of this collection than actually running a fashion brand. And that's when I had the natural idea of, why don't we just offer the services that we do for ourselves in house to other people who are trying to start and run their own brands? And with a little bit of Googling, I found out that's actually called a creative agency, and that's an industry that's been around for forever. And people like Gary Vee and all these other different people who have been doing this shit for forever, I finally started to get to know what they do, how they go about it, and all these things that I had just kind of naturally been discovering myself have been around. And there's a lot of different fundamentals that I was missing. And that's what we get into lesson 8. You're not crazy. You're probably just listening to the wrong people. When I discovered people like Gary Vee, Alex Hormozi, Sabri Subi, I really started seeing that the way that I'm naturally thinking, the opportunities that I'm seeing in the world, all these connections are not me tripping. These are proven things that these dope people have made methodologies on and strategies on and are putting it out here for us to learn and adapt and do for ourselves. A little uncontemporary action. And for me, it was really validating to have these people who are doing what I want to do in a certain regard and have found so much bigger success than even what I want for myself. So it just showed me the possibility of what I'm able to build for myself, and I can be patient with myself in order to kind of get there. But there was a lot of things that I just didn't know on a fundamental level as far as sales and marketing, which brings us to number 9. Sometimes you just gotta pay to play. I started investing in coaching and courses to just elevate my game and really almost go through this like re-education, or like this, that was my master's like after college. Some of the people who I met initially, like my man Miles Cash from Zurich, were truly amazing and helped me reframe my mind on things that no one had ever taught me. And that kind of brings me to number 10. What works for them may not work for you. When I was going through these courses and coaching sessions and being in these groups, I really felt like I didn't belong. The people who were in them had very different motivations than I had for building a business. I would even talk to people on the exit interviews of some of these groups and explain what my motivations were. And it was like, yeah, this doesn't really seem like your thing. A lot of people who go through these courses and stuff like that, main motivation is like just making more money. And that just wasn't my thing. That just wasn't my motivation for why I was trying to build this out. So just as I was about to dive into this real estate thing fully, my good friend Nature Boy, who runs the Traveling Open Mic Open Gym, which is in my opinion the best open mic in the DMV and curated events for independent artists, came to me and was like, bro, I see what you have going on. I see what you've been doing for the past couple of years. I've seen what you've done for other people who I feel like don't fully deserve it. And I don't know what it looks like, but I would love for you to just come into Open Gym and share your expertise on how you can make it better. And it's just one of those things where I feel like God puts people in your life to speak to you sometimes at the right times, because it's like, yo, I got this dope piece of new software tool that the people who are teaching me how to use it are telling me one thing, but I really feel like there's a lot of opportunity in places where they don't. And it was a great opportunity for me to really test it and verify my own ideas once again. And that's how Tap 7 ended up really being born. And I've been able to help so many creatives and entrepreneurs just using my own systems and automations than I ever had before. So there you have it, party people. That's my crazy entrepreneurship journey. Well, at least so far. And if you have any questions, please drop a comment down below. I will be more than happy to answer it, and that'll just give me more ideas for what videos to make, because like I just said, there's 15 years of just lessons and ideas, and I've been struggling on even where to start with this. So I definitely am here to help. I want to share my journey. I want to help you guys kind of avoid some of the pitfalls and like limiting mindsets that I've had to get over myself. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe for more. I'm going to keep these joints coming. My name is Raza Rai. Until next time, we'll talk later.